Mitchell Stankovic and Associates presents The Underground Collision of the Minds. Shift Happens. With your host, Sue Mitchell, CEO of Mitchell Stankovic and Associates and founder of The Underground.
Hey there! Hi, I'm Sue Mitchell and welcome to The Underground. There are hundreds of you joining us today and we're excited to get started. For those of you who have never gone underground with us, our goal is to create a buzz, select critical topics, and have authentic conversation with thought leaders to push for vulnerable collaboration. It'll make us all better as people and as credit unions. What a year this has been. Times are tough. Every single person has had to go through life disruption. From health to finances to job uncertainty, and some have lost their homes and unfortunately their loved ones. Deepak Chopra said in a recent interview that we are all experiencing a sense of grief. To those of you who are hurting, please know that you're not alone. I hope today gives all of you some comfort, some insights on how together we can face the future, and maybe keep a sense of humor with a chuckle or two. From the darkness emerges light. We will examine some of the lessons learned in 2020 and how credit union experts are prepared to help. We believe the success and the growth of the underground movement is representative of the need for people to have a voice during a time when there are so many things out of our control. The underground was once an in-person collision, but now it's become a virtual phenomenon with thousands watching and listening to the credit union difference. The underground chats are giving us access to authentic dialogue from people on the front lines. Underground reporters are taking it to the street to ask questions and get real answers. And we're putting ideas into action. When shift happens, most people step away, but not credit union people. We step in and we stand up because the people are the credit union. We're the owners, and we each have an equal right and an equal vote. And as a not-for-profit cooperative, we are dedicated to financial democracy. Credit unions are fighting for all of us, for small business owners, seniors, veterans, children, women, families, and all diversity, equity, and inclusive initiatives. We are 291 million people strong worldwide. Today, we are introducing you to I Am a Credit Union. You, me, real people helping people. And a special guest is going to be joining us as co-host. His name is I Am. We will be standing up and sharing snippets from our underground chats on these raw topics: International Credit Union Day, diversity, equity, and inclusion, fractured lives, physical, mental, and financial health, warp speed technology, cannabis grassroots. You can see we have a full day planned, so here we go. Let's share the love, meet I Am, and get insights from people who are the credit union movement, inspiring hope around the world.
Our brand is love, and so let's be clear. I didn't decide what our brand is. Our members did. So we have a pretty unique brand. It's love. Our members love us. Pretty when we actually did all the study and all that kind of stuff. It was a little shocking to have it come back, but the reality is you know, they showed us. It wasn't a surprise to us because people tell you we love you guys and use that word over and over and over. And we got used to that. We just didn't really really realize that that was our brand. And what they really love is our people. We know that. And when we started talking about technology, and as you move to technology, if your brand is about people and people love your people, technology can't replace that. So technology is meant to enhance that. And we really, on the technology side, focus in on the experience. And the easiest way for me to explain it is if our members love our people and they quit coming into the branch, which we want them to do, and they start taking a picture of their check, do they still love us when they get done taking a picture of that check? And the answer, if you don't think about that, the answer is no. You can lose that love over a period of time. So we focus in on the experience. I want you to feel good when you get done taking a picture of that check. So we have confetti if you did it right? We have confetti and everything making you feel good about the experience. When you donate to our community fund on our mobile app, instead of donate done, you just donated 20 bucks or 100 bucks, whatever, a heart comes up, and it's this experience. It's making you feel good, just like our staff does when you get done with the transaction. I am a credit union.
My name is Jim Rice, and I am a credit union.
My name is Janice Yarborough, and I am a credit union.
Mi nombre es Vicente y soy una unión crediticia.
I am Amelia Graham, and I am a credit union.
Mon nom est Balkis, je suis de la Crédit Union.
My name is Josh, I'm a credit union.
Ang pangalan ko ay Roxanne at ako ay credit union. Hola, mi nombre es Angelica, and I am a credit union.
My name is Kelly Schrader, and I am a credit union.
I am a credit union.
I am a credit union.
Hi, Underground. Hello, Sue. My name is I Am, and I am going to be your co-host today.
Really? Did you say your name is I Am?
Yes, I am a credit union.
Wow, thank you for joining me today as my co-host. It's an exciting day for the Underground. I am a credit union too. Did you know that today is International Credit Union Day?
Really? That's exciting.
Yes, people from all over the world are celebrating. Let's learn more.
Our presenter this morning, Brandy Stankovic. Brandy is the International Services Director. Would you please welcome Brandy?
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share some insight into creating educational solutions for the credit union industry. Online learning has played a critical role to me personally, and I have seen the differences it has made to our credit union partners. Did you know that 62%?
Hey, it's Dr. Brandy Stankovic, and what you just witnessed was my very first presentation, my first involvement in the World Council in 2003 in Australia, and a moment that would end up being a turning point in my career and in my life. I was 23 years old. Shortly after that presentation, I witnessed the flags come down the aisle at the World Credit Union Conference opening ceremony, and an impact that credit unions were having across the globe. And at the awards ceremony, I saw the young men and women on stage, and I thought, I can be amazing like them someday. And I knew from that point forward, I would do whatever it took to support the worldwide movement. When we talk about inspiring hope or creating a legacy for those that come behind us, I am forging a path. I'm creating equity. But this path will not be simple. Nothing will be put in your lap. You will not be spoon-fed or babysat. This isn't a kids' club. The world's young creating professionals are champions of the creating philosophy. And I'm tired of seeing young people, women, and marginalized groups be competitive with one another. Champion each other. I believe in you, and I believe in me. Some of you here today, we've grown up together. Sisters and brothers from across country borders that share the same love and values and passion. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to the World Council. Thank you to Dr. Brian Branch and the team, Paul, Tom. I have never been more passionate about a program in my life. And thank you to 23-year-old me. This moment is dedicated to you. The 23-year-old whose mind was fearless and heart was expanding and whose life would soon be changed by Y-Cup. Here is a letter I wrote to my 23-year-old self. Dear young executive with stars in your eyes, I know you're nervous and overwhelmed and in an oversized suit. And I know you memorized every line of that presentation so you'd make your family proud. But fight through the tears. Build your grit. Because that presentation may be your first, but baby, it's not going to be your last. Embrace those feelings of invincibility because you can and you will be and do anything. The world is ready for you. Live Y-Cup. You will introduce yourself to industry leaders for 10 years before they remember your name. One day, they will know your name, and they will seek your voice and guidance. Be Y-Cup. Cherish the humans around you. Lean in. Over the course of your life, you won't get the chance to say goodbye to some of the people you love. So enjoy every moment. And invest in Y-Cup. By doing so, you are investing in the future of this movement, and you are investing in your future. Inspiring hope for a global community and forging a path for future generations. I love you.
At times when we come to America and we see that you're able to drink water right from the tap, and you see that not most people in Africa have that kind of privilege, where I consider that privilege, because in the world, 7 out of 10 people do not have access to clean water. But when you look at the impact of COVID, as much as I've said, it's a health issue which has turned to economical. There's a connection between Africa and America in various ways. The fact that we've been working together towards supporting the credit union, more of a family kind of thing. But when you look at today, the people that have lost jobs out of COVID, Africa is a continent that previously was, in the last 2 decades actually, we've been seeing huge progress in terms of GDP growth. Unfortunately, it has not been inclusive, but I like the connection that we have between ourselves and America as a family, because when I come to America, I go to a credit union, I see a financial institution of choice where everything else is available within that particular structure. I kind of see inclusion. You might not see it that way, but I see that almost everybody has that equal chance. There are other challenges that we could be facing in terms of the same, but for me, I'm seeing that more connection. But in terms of the bigger approach, what then we need to think through on my thinking that maybe apply also to US and other parts of the world, is COVID-19 is a disruptor, but there could be a bigger disruptor coming than COVID-19. In the continent, it could be a disruption maybe that is on the generational change. because our continent today, the median age is 18 years of age. So that means a continent of 1.3 billion people, 650 million or so are below the age of 18. So that's a big number. And the same also will apply to US, a disruption like generational change. I mentioned that when I attend those bigger forums, the World Council Forum, GAC, GSC, you could tell that we need that kind of engagement. And thanks to engagement like the Underground Coalition, trying to bring people of different ages, people of different, just bringing diversity to the group. So the thinking for me is, while we are developing our policies, let us start building capital that there could be a bigger disruptor coming.
When I got appointed as the CEO of the Asian Confederation of Credit Unions, probably that is the milestone for our organization, because I am the first woman CEO after 45 years. So all the previous CEOs of the Confederation for 45 years were all men, and the Confederation is actually addressing women empowerment, and so we have to walk the talk. At that point, yes, Brian reached out to me and asked me to, apply for a scholarship at the Global Women's Leadership Network. I am very fortunate to get the scholarship to attend the World Council Credit Union conference in Gold Coast, Australia in 2014. We represent 34,000 credit unions, and it has a total membership of 36 million individuals in 22 countries in Asia. So we develop a platform for the women in order for them to raise their level of awareness on that strategic issues that confronts credit union. And the other one is that there's a lot of women, more than 50% of membership of credit unions are women. And they are definitely belonging to the low income groups. And the reason why they became member of credit unions is that because they wanted to help their family improve their economic well-being. So we observe that still, even though they have financial access, they are not very successful in their business. It's because they lack an information, they lack skills, they lack linkage with the market so that their business can expand or scale up. So we thought it should be an integral. If the women are accessing financial services from credit unions, they need also to have access to business coaching. And that is all about the Business Development Center. And so what we did was I used the grant that we received from the Global Women's Leadership Network to pilot in one credit union in the Philippines, and it works because they have 30,000 women members. Before the project, only 50% of them were accessing loan from the credit union because 50% were saying, no, we do not know where to invest. They want to get the loan, but they are afraid they will become more indebted because they do not know what type of business they will be engaging into, and they are not sure whether it will succeed.
In Australia, there's no reason to not change. Now, I know in the US there are reasons to not change, and taxation that you briefly mentioned there is one of them. This is one of our great mistakes, I think, in Australia, the Australian credit union movement or industry. One of its great mistakes was to lose our tax exemption, which we lost back in 1992. And the government approached our national association and said, justify your tax exemption. Tell us why we should continue it. And our national association then raced around trying to aggregate all of the social responsibility activities that we do and measure them all up in dollar terms to be able to go back to the government and say, look, this is what we do and this is why we deserve this exemption. And we couldn't do it. We couldn't show them. We couldn't show them that we were acting in a socially responsible manner. My view is that in order to prevent the loss of your tax exemption and not follow our mistake, then that organisation should be calculating what its federal tax would be. I know you pay state tax anyway, but calculate what that liability would be, and then ensure that the social responsibility activities, the social responsibility expense or investment is equal to what that liability would be. And then when your tax exemption is under pressure, whoever it is, would turn around and say, well, look, if you take our tax exemption away, all of these activities, all of this investment and all of these outcomes would go. And they really need to be, you need to be able to balance them in order to keep them, in my view.
So over the course of time, when the DE program started back in 1982, it was focused on global development issues, but it was at the time U.S. participants. And over time, as international people have come through, there's been this really rich grassroots movement where people say, they come through from a different country and say, I want to bring DE back to our country. So it's created this global network of several DE programs that exist. And so we've got around 2,000 people who have graduated from the US DE program, and you can more than double that internationally. So really successful, and again, grassroots, that's been a lot of people taking the initiative to grow that program on their own, but it's a beautiful kind of really neat part of our program. This idea of empowerment, empowering others, and along with that action, that it's not just good enough to come learn about the cooperative principles, it's how do you use that to the betterment of the people we're serving. And that's the real, when DE programs spring up in other countries or people go back to their credit union and create new programs to help people, it's, that's all them and helping them to realize that they can create that change. It doesn't, we like to talk about how it's not about changing the world. It's changing, one person at a time, the people around you, what's your impact? But it's about that actionable, right? Creating change.
Hey, it's your girl, Dr. Brandy Stankovic, and I am a credit union member, lover, fighter, advocate, and champion.
Oh my goodness, and they have my heart. Thank you, Brett, Brandy, George, Lenny, Mark, Chad. Incredible. I listened and I learned. Here are a few of the ideas that each of us needs to put into action. Say yes. Don't give up. Believe in future leaders. 650 million Africans will be under the age of 18. There's definitely a new disruption coming. First female leader, and I call her my friend. She's striving to end poverty, and she's just so dedicated. Mark shared with us that we need to keep the tax exemption. And Chad, one person, one step at a time. And from me to all of you, donate to International Credit Union Day. This is one of the most important initiatives that we can ever be part of. Okay, we're going to move now to our next segment, and of course, continue to share your love. No matter our differences, we are all human and deserve respect, peace of mind, and the pursuit of happiness. We must live in harmony. I am a believer that hard work should bring equal opportunities. I am a credit union volunteer. As a society, we are on a journey, and you will learn from our next thought leaders that it will be slow progress. We must remain focused on the destination to have diversity, equity, and inclusion as a pillar of our culture that is fundamental to core business practices and to our mission of people helping people. Let's listen to how credit unions are living it.
That was then, this is now. Living it.
It's true. Every day there's a new travesty. We have to be strong, and we have to feel
and push for progress.
Kudos to the underground, at least 2 years, more than 2 years before our current awakening as a nation. The underground was raising questions about diversity. So kudos to you all for that.
On the left, we've got Australia's Peter Norman. He won the silver medal. In the middle is the gold medal winning Tommy Smith. And on the right there is a bronze medal winning John Carlos. Now, not many people know the story of the Australian in this photograph. He was 26 years old at the time. He was a devout Christian, deeply sympathetic to the Black Rights Movement and to racial equality, and to the Olympic Project for Human Rights. His support for Tommy Smith and John Carlos was to wear the Olympic Project for Human Rights badge, which I've highlighted there, all three of them wearing it. He was quoted at the time as saying, he said, "I think most Australians would favour what I did. At least I hope they do. I believe in civil rights. Every man is born equal and should be treated as such. I thought this was a good chance to be on their side." Australians are pretty proud of Peter Norman, not only for his sporting prowess, of course, but for the stance that he took and for his participation in what I think is a very special but little known Australian and American connection.
Yeah, I think that the desired outcome is where we have a financially just country where everyone, no matter their background, despite historic patterns of exclusion, will have the opportunity to financially thrive, right? We know that based on history, that opportunity to thrive financially has not been there for everyone. So I think that credit unions have a really incredible opportunity to create that new future for everyone. So in the practice of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, among the practitioner space, there's been this debate for years on, do we focus on hearts and minds change, or do we focus on systems change? And it's essentially, you need both. If you think of it as an infinity symbol, the hearts and mind change influences the systems change, which then influences the hearts and minds. So you need all of that together, and that individual change takes intentional practice. And so understand what your role is in terms of what your gifts are and what you still have to learn. I talk about the notion of confident humility a lot, in terms of confident that we're right on the right path in terms of increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion within our system, but humble enough to say we all have still a lot more to learn. So that's number one. Number two is curiosity, and that curiosity is connected to courage, because to say that, oh my God, there's still so much that I don't know. And I actually personally feel that on a daily basis, like, oh my God, and ask those questions of what am I missing? What else do I need to learn to be more effective at this type of work? And courage to stand up. My daughter recently wrote a report for school in terms of heroes. And she talked about her heroes are people who are protesting, knowing that they could get hurt. And so my daughter's 10 and my son was 12. He's like, wow, Becca, that took a lot of courage and bravery. It's like, I think the same thing, but I don't know if I would have been brave enough to write a report on that, because I would be concerned about my teacher's feelings. So really being brave and courageous enough to take a stand. And it's hard to do that right now. But take a stand with compassion and empathy, not in a way that diminishes the humanity of other people, but in a way that highlights how we are all intrinsically connected.
And we talked already about racism and social justice, and I do think that that's I as each day passes, I'm encouraged that I don't think it's going to be just the flavor of the year kind of thing, and that we will find ourselves a year from now still challenging ourselves and still finding solutions. And what we face today has taken place over so many years that I've got to believe that it's going to take a long time also to fix it. But something that's top of mind for me right now in the DEI context is the New York Times article that came out earlier this week about real estate home appraisals. And I've known it existed before, but to have it laid out again and so many blatant examples, and all due respect to the appraiser industry and whatnot, but there's so much bias built into the system. So that's something we need to fix our appraisal system, not only for that kind of bias, but the appraisal system overall in today's day and age really needs modernizing. And I just that tie to how different groups, especially minorities, how they end up faring in the appraisal system. Maddening, but an opportunity for us to change that. Yeah. Among our staff, besides the racially diverse team that we have, we're diverse in other ways that aren't so apparent. And something I've said in other settings is that I believe we need to focus right now on the injustices against the Black community. However, I also hope that this leads us to look at other communities as well. And in one of our team huddles earlier this week, I was trying to make the point that not all of us present in a way that makes others immediately see what might be different about us. And so one of my colleagues is gay, and you can't tell if a person looking at them is or not. So I brought that up as an example, and the term that I use is and he was so good about later on taking me aside and saying, "Thank you so much for that conversation, but let me clue you in on something." So I use the term that people's social preference, quote unquote, doesn't show by the way they look. And then he said, "Lucy, social preference is not the word that we use now, because that suggests that people have a choice on something that's biological." And I got it instantly. And I said, "Sexual orientation." And he said, "Yes." And so, it's things like that, putting ourselves out there and letting ourselves be educated, I think is very important in talking about this.
So I think it's important for a progressive and ethically responsible company to embrace the DEI practices. I mean, I think that just makes sense. It's going to be much more attractive to an employee that wants to bring their true, authentic self to work, wants to be appreciated for their uniqueness and their diverse opinions and knowledge. That's just what makes it better. So selfishly, as I mentioned earlier, in the innovation and the ideation stage, we can't just have some people coming in and developing products and services in a silo. If you don't attack it through a diverse group, you're not getting those outside opinions. And then therefore you may be creating products and services for some people, but not all people, right? And the credit union ethos isn't some people helping some people, right? It's all people helping all people. It's people helping people. So I think attacking diversity and inclusion and bringing those in to your organization is just going to help drive innovation, different thoughts, different experiences. And I think that's a paramount way to think about DEI from a business perspective today. That said, and I know you know our Chief Talent Officer, Lynn Heckler, what an awesome person she is. We have recently escalated and expedited, I should say, our movement into DEI. We have recently, even though we've been very pioneering in PSU and our ERGs and really leading the credit union movement in the DEI initiatives, we have changed from ERG, so employee resource groups, to BRG, business resource groups. And really the difference there is now we're part of the overall business strategy and helping make that happen. So talk about inclusion, we're actually tapping our employee resource groups in a business manner and calling them BRGs now.
But in 2018, I actually saw the current board, well, then current board members on the 1AZ board. None of them looked like me. They weren't really reflective of who my membership, being an African-American female and actually Latino. My dad's from Puerto Rico. And so I thought, this is interesting. I've been a member for about 8 years, and I wonder why none of the members look like me. And so I read a little bit more about the requirements to become a board member and submitted my application. And then because I was busy with my other commitments, I withdrew my name from consideration. But one very special board member, and that being Marquita, reached out to me and really developed a relationship with me over the next year and encouraged me to reapply. And I did that. I started in April with the annual meeting. And actually my first item in May, the May meeting, was to ask about the diversity and inclusion and equity policies that the credit union had, because I had been reviewing the bylaws and other materials and I didn't see anything. And so I really raised the question, what is the commitment of the credit union to diversity and inclusion? And unfortunately, the response wasn't what I expected. And as a result, the credit union 1AZ has done a number of things in the last 3 or 4 months. We've included it as a part of our strategic planning. We've developed a work group with a cross representation of employees and management and board members, and are really rolling out a program to look at how we can expand and really ensuring that we have a culture that's representative of the community in which we serve.
Hi there, Zach Christensen here, Underground Field Reporter, coming to you from the Underground offices here in beautiful Boulder City, Nevada. I'm the Director of Communications and Digital Marketing for Mitchell Stankovic & Associates, and I'm also one of the co-founders of CU Pride, and that's why I'm here today. For those who may not know, CU Pride was organized in February of 2020, just earlier this year, during a meetup at the Underground Collision in Washington, D.C. CU Pride exists to create a network and promote the visibility of LGBTQ+ individuals in the credit union industry. We're also here to provide a safe and brave place for communion and discussion, and create a forum for our allies and our social change agents, and to promote inclusivity and consciousness through programs, education, and networking. I had the amazing opportunity to get together with the other co-founders of CU Pride and ask them a few questions about what's going on in the world and what we need to focus on in order to be more successful. So join me as Linda Bodie, Chief Innovator of Element Federal Credit Union, Dan Marquez, Conversion Strategist with Correlation, and Brandy Stankovic, Chief Strategy Officer of CU Solutions Group. Join me in discussing why CU Pride, who our most vulnerable people are, and how allies can stand up and make a difference for the LGBTQ community. Check it out.
I think the biggest reason that CU Pride is important is because it's promoting the visibility of the LGBTQ+ community and allies in the credit union industry. For many years, we've not really had a group that's focused on the entire industry, the whole community within the industry. And so it was time to actually create something formal that would allow professionals in the industry, vendor partners, anybody associated with credit unions in this community to be out and proud and have a community to promote education programs for credit unions interested in expanding or starting their DEI initiative with this particular community.
Within our industry, as well as outside of, Black and Brown trans lives matter. The representation and the inclusion of Black and Brown trans individuals is super important in who we focus towards, who we target our services to, who we provide support to. These individuals are disproportionately murdered on a daily basis in communities due to homophobia, due to ignorance, due to uneducation. And we are here for representation and to build a support system for everybody.
As an ally of the LGBTQ plus community, we urge you to listen, learn, and act. As an ally, it's important to be willing to listen, recognizing we don't know it all, and be willing to learn and understand more. But be ready to act. Use your privilege as an ally to make a difference, to stand up against homophobia and transphobia, to stand up against slurs. Yeah, some of the conversations are going to be uncomfortable. Well, get uncomfortable because it's all about choosing love.
Thank you to Linda, Dan, and Brandy for their amazing thoughts and insight. I couldn't imagine going on this journey with anybody else. And thank you to all the amazing supporters in the industry for what you've done for CU Pride so far. We're excited for what the future holds, and check out what else we have coming up on cupride.org.
Woo! Thank you so much, Lucy and Angela and Scott and Perletta. And I want to take a moment for a special shout out to Kim Reedy, the CEO at One Arizona, for your fast action and your movement in an initiative that's so important. And to our special friends from CU Pride, you know I love you, and you know how I feel about us bringing forward initiatives that matter. So let's look at the idea that we have to put these ideas into action. Let's be curious. Let's have courage to stand up. Search out bias and racism. Create business resource groups. Seek strategic diversity on your boards. Listen, learn, and get uncomfortable. And join CU Pride. I am a credit union advocate. DEI is now an integral part of the credit union industry, and NCUA Chair Rodney Hood declared financial inclusion is a civil rights issue of our time. We know that everyone needs access to a credit union. Many people's lives are fractured physically, emotionally, and financially. Our next credit union experts will share how credit unions respond to disaster and how we can address generational poverty.
Who am I? Have you already assumed that you know the kind of person I am based on my outward appearance? But what if I look like this? Do you know me now? You can assume based on the color of my skin, gender, the way I dress, or the accent I have that you know me. But who I really am and what I can bring to this team is so much more. What I can offer is limitless when I can bring my whole self to work, being valued and embraced because of my unique perspective. I may be differently labeled, but I am uniquely abled. Now, we could go on being strangers or making wrong assumptions, but that doesn't seem like a good way to run a company now, does it? Instead, what if we get to know each other? Not based off of bias, but who we truly are, sharing ourselves and inviting others to do the same, and appreciating, engaging, and valuing each other. Our true strength comes from leveraging our differences for the greater good of our cooperative. Inclusion means everyone, including you. And together, we are PSCU.
I am
a credit union.
I'm feeling sad, worried about money. Where do I start?
I know I am. It's a time where we need to understand that we feel vulnerable, and people need to know that we care about them, and we have to listen to the experts.
Yeah, it's actually, you can barely see outside. You can't breathe. We just, major fires started about 3 weeks ago, early, very early this year. The difference with us is we had major fires 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and now 20.
Wow.
And it's not just the fires, it's fires is one thing. Smoke is a disaster all by itself. We've had floods following the fires, and major power outages because the power company, a lot of the fires are starting because of power lines. So major evacuations and major power outages, which are really the ramifications of the fire. The 2015 was the third largest fire in California history. That's where we got our feet wet and actually started our fund. And then we had fires and multiple fires a year, not just one. And then in 2017, we lost 7,000 homes almost overnight. 5,600 of those homes were within a 3-mile radius of our corporate office. We almost lost our corporate office that night. Lots of employees, lots of members impacted. Even though 5,600 was in a short radius of our corporate facility, the fires were with it, four surrounding counties of our core membership base and our corporate office. It's interesting because we've gotten really good at this. I don't know, that's something I ever really wanted to get good at, but we are extremely good at this. And last November, before COVID, we had a major fire. And the impact was even more significant, even though we didn't lose 7,000 homes. And it feels weird to say that because people losing their homes is a big deal. But they evacuated hundreds of thousands of people, mandatorily evacuated hundreds of thousands of people. And then major power outages throughout the whole region, and both the evacuations and power outages lasted a long time. And the impacts of something like that is significant. We actually lost our corporate facility last November, not in a fire, but it was evacuated. We didn't have access to it. The things that we did and the learnings that we got from that allowed us to move on COVID like it was almost no big deal. It was a big deal, but our readiness for that was crazy. And it was literally the craziest thing I've ever been involved in, the stress level. I told my board at the beginning of this, and I warn people, don't try and do what we do, because sometimes we do some crazy stuff. It was this point at the beginning, I told my board, I said, we're either going to destroy our brand or take our brand to the next level. I'll let you know. I think the 2017, I just remember, people's houses were burning and they were getting evacuated, and they showed up, and what they did, their skill set, their dedication is, I trust them back. It's an amazing team. We're stronger for it. It is something that brings people together. It can push people apart, but we're focused on bringing people together, and people are proud of what we do and understand. One of the state regulator, when there's a declaration of emergency, says, "Oh, you can close." And usually when I talk, I say, I can't in my wildest dreams imagine closing. When your members ran out of their house at 1 o'clock in the morning, ran out of their house because they couldn't get their car out in what they were wearing to bed. And I always tell people, be careful what you're wearing to bed. But without their purses and their wallets and that kind of stuff, what is the first thing they need? The first thing they need is us. Access. They need access. They left their debit and credit cards and those burned, right? Or if their house didn't burn, they can't get back to it to get it. They need to find shelter, clothes, food, and they need their financial institution. And this whole, we've never closed. There's no excuse for us closing, and our disaster plan needs to make sure we can't. Whatever's been thrown at us, and we've had crazy things thrown at us. I don't understand closing. I just don't. We haven't closed during COVID. The layering effect of two things: the financial impact and the mental impact of that is the biggest thing that we're dealing with up here. outside of COVID. COVID isn't the thing, it's the layering of all of those different things.
April 19th, 1995, everything changed because that is when a bomb went off that killed 168 people in Oklahoma City in the federal building. It was the first act of domestic terrorism in the United States. I remember at that time, the words that I hated and heard in the news were unprecedented. And there's going to be a new normal. And some of those words we're hearing right now, I remember hearing over and over again in 1995. And out of the 168 people that were killed, somewhere around approximately 100 of these people, they had accounts at our credit union. So another reason why it was so important to open back up as quick as possible, which we opened 48 hours later, was because all of these families needed to bury their loved ones. So they needed access to their money. And then so many other people were injured, and we needed to be able to be open so that they could get to their money, you know? And it was a time, I remember members coming in and just hugging and crying and just wanting to talk about their favorite loan officer or, you know, whoever it was that they cared about. And it was a time where it was tragic, and it was filled with grief, and it was horrible, absolutely horrible. But it was also a time where community came together. Credit unions came together, and people came together to help us. I remember before the bombing thinking that really large credit unions, they were just like a bank. Yeah, I was one of those people that talked ugly about the big billion-dollar credit unions because, oh, they're not really a credit union because they're so big. Well, who came to our aid? The really big evil credit union in town offered us free space inside their building to take over their mock teller training area as our own. So we opened up 48 hours later. Wow. In another credit union's office. We have to realize that our credit unions, we cannot bury our heads in the sand on the social issues and also the issues of pivoting to serve our members. So if you're a credit union, you need to be figuring out how to serve your community as virtual as possible.
How do we make financial health a priority? How do we do this all of the time and not necessarily during a crisis? Because we're fantastic, we're phenomenal. When a crisis hits, we answer the call, we rally together, we try to figure out how do we get through this. But what we need to really work on, and the challenge that I think we need to all undertake is how do we make this a long life commitment? How do we get to the point to where we're talking about financial health more from a proactive standpoint and not from a reactive standpoint? And let me share this. So Balance is a leader within the Financial Health Network. They recently reported, and this is across all segments here, 71% of Americans are either vulnerable or barely coping. So 29%, less than 30%, are financially healthy. We need to think about how do we invert those numbers? How is it that such a large number is barely surviving? We need to figure out how do we go from merely surviving to thriving. Is we are really interrupting generational poverty. And I think a lot of the times we tend to forget, or we make a lot of assumptions. And I think it's about, again, coming back to the basics and taking it right from the beginning and understanding where are you, what's the goals that you're trying to accomplish, and be able to say to everyone, financial health is for all. This is not limited. Everyone should have the roadmap on how to become financially healthier and move towards generational wealth and talk about retirement. That should not be an exclusive club.
Hello, everybody. It's Cynthia Campbell. I'm CXO at Balance. I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. I'm a field reporter for the Underground Collision, a dream job that I've always wanted. And I'm here with you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. But more importantly, I have 3 amazing leaders in financial empowerment with me here today. First, we have Raina Jones-Short. She is the manager of community development at Delta Community Credit Union. They are a $7.2 billion institution. Next, we have Nico Stubblefield. She comes to us from Agland Federal Credit Union. It's $2.2 billion in assets. She is the membership and community development manager. Last but not least, my fellow Oklahoman, Ms. Heather Kay, at my former credit union, Tinker Federal Credit Union, and where I keep my money. So she is the VP and financial empowerment manager over there. $4.4 billion in assets. So thank you, ladies, for your service on this panel today. Let's dive right in. So as all of this is going on, you're saying my model's not working anymore because it's an in-person model. We have new needs and more needs from those that are there, but our channel is gone, right? So then what did you do? Like, tell me about your pivot. How did you reach out to these people? What are you doing to get the message out to them?
So it's so funny because it is that, okay, guys, what are we going to do? And so our team, we came up with, we launched what is called the Financial Education Center Financial 15 series. And so this was a webinar series that was a 3-part series where we literally recorded 15-minute on-demand webinars for our members and our SEG partners and community partners. And all it did was give 15-minute snippets of financial guidance. And so we had over 11 different topics. And so that took a minute because we had to record them precisely at 15 minutes because we knew that people were now at home and they needed to be able to digest, pertinent information to help them, but quickly. And so because of that, we garnered almost 2,000 views through our Financial 15 series, and it was highly successful. We communicated through emails, hundreds of thousands of emails went out to our members, our newsletter, social media, all of those different channels to get people to tune in, and they actually did. We were really surprised. We didn't know, what to expect, but everything around COVID relief, CARES Act, saving, reducing expenses, budgeting, and it proved highly, highly successful.
Heather, tell us about your pivot. What are some of the standout things that you've done because of COVID? What looks different?
Right. So our initial pivot was we need to get some financial education out there. Of course, it all started happening the month of April, which was Financial Literacy Month. So everyone's talking about it on the news. So there was this big pressure of we got to do something, scramble. And we were all working from home at the time, so all remotely. And so we decided to come up with short videos, kind of like Raina said, but we made ours for social media only. And so tried to keep them, well, initially we kept them at like, and then we decided, let's just try 2 minutes. But it's really hard to shrink a lot of information down into that. So that was like the first struggle, was getting it down to that 2 minutes. And then we did that, and we had 2 educators. So we'd figure out what topic we're going to do, and one educator would write the script, record it from home, and then send it to the other educator, and he would do a PowerPoint, but have him talking at the same time. Put it to where it was really visual, more interactive kind of situation. But we did 2 of those videos a week for a very long time.
Wow.
It was a lot of work. It was really good, super great learning opportunity.
And how about you, Nico? Tell us a little bit about your pivots, and even if it includes special programs, any lending programs, anything that might have been helpful in COVID.
Utilizing that. And some of the opportunities came through the outreach, that we did. So we had an opportunity to say, hey, let's get together with your employees and let's have, a virtual huddle. And so if you've got them in the morning, let's get them to log on, and we take 10 minutes, and, whatever questions they might have, get those to me, prior to our huddle time. And then we can discuss that, for them. So out of that, birthed that additional opportunity. So they were, it was coming in fast and furious from that particular area to do that. So a lot of it, the outreach that we had in place, looking at opportunities, utilizing social media platforms. And we're in the process now of that bite-sized learning that Raina mentioned, and incorporating that. And so members have access to that when they're on our website. So we're doing some of that now. And that was birthed out of, this experience. And
It's beautiful to see your faces. Thank you all so much.
Wow. When I mentioned that when others step away, credit unions stepping out, you're seeing that from our friends Brett, Amy, Rico, and our field report from Cynthia, Heather, Raina, and Nico. Not only are credit unions open to serve, employees are empathetic, and they know their first responders when their members need help. Even when their lives are at risk, credit union people come together. They're prepared, they're open, they care. They rise up, even with domestic terrorism. Stop generational poverty is something we're all working on, and providing coaching without financial shame is critical as we move forward. And pivoting to virtual financial education, wow, what a job. So I am a credit union, and I am an employee.
Hi, my name is Jim Rice, and I'm a credit union member. Back when I was 16, I bought my very first car. It was a souped-up Camaro. And being from a small town, I knew a lot of the employees at that credit union. And being 16, I didn't have that great a driving record, didn't have that great a credit, but they trusted that I would pay that loan. And so they gave me the money. And I will never take my money anywhere else. My name is Jim Rice, and I'm a credit union.
Yes, and I'm a credit union family. Next, we're going to transition to something very important in our world today, and that is warp speed technology. Beginning with a friend, our keynote speaker, Samantha Paxson, is an undergrad champion, and she's a thought leader. She understands the special relationship between people and their credit unions. I want to thank Todd and the entire co-op team for their continuing presenting sponsorship. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha Paxson. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Co-op Financial Services. And today we're going to talk about growth, how to attain the primary financial relationship. So we're going to talk about how COVID has really played into this and what our opportunity is. But first, a video.
Google's announced it will start offering checking accounts, Apple's launched a credit card, and Facebook said it's taking on PayPal's Venmo with a new payment service.
300% rise in the amount of people using investing apps.
We've gone from banks being something that people interact with primarily in a branch to now, these days, being something that people interact with fully digitally.
And so many of these branchless challenger banks are partnering with FDIC-insured banks, and traditional banks see this as a benefit.
A lot of folks out there have been talking about a, quote, new normal for quite some time now, especially as this COVID outbreak really starts to wreak havoc on economies, not just here in the US, but abroad as well.
Today, with complete mobile ubiquity and connectivity, you're seeing more consumers want to take a digital channel for all of their needs, especially their financial needs.
And the good news is, I think a lot of corporate leaders really understand this newfound responsibility cannot be avoided.
So you're seeing these new platforms and other emerging fintech players scale rapidly and are now starting to compete with some of the biggest traditional banks in the world.
Because all of these behaviors will be changing, it will have an impact on the economy, at least in the near term.
Business is finding itself in a situation where it has to step up and plug the holes that exist where government just can no longer do the job.
The economy will always adapt, consumers will adapt, businesses will adapt. I think there is some silver lining in this.
Adaptation. We have never adapted more than we have in the past year, and it's time for us to do more. Our members need us, and credit unions have the opportunity to pull on different levers of their business and help more members. We're in a zero-rate environment, and margins are under pressure. Our business model is under pressure. Finding a more balanced approach in our P&L by growing engagement, growing market share, growing volume, and growing interchange will help more members find the resources and the support that they need. And I really think that this is a very credit union time. This is our moment to be there for the members in their day-to-day. And what does that look like? Well, right now, a good friend of Co-op, Gene Chatsky, just had a conversation with economist Ben Harris. He made the point that because of the PPP and the additional $600 in unemployment payments that ended in July, the recession for many unemployed people didn't really begin until August 1st. What that means is that a lot of the pain and the financial unwellness has remained hidden and is still to come. This K-shaped recovery exacerbates the problem that low to middle income credit union customers are feeling. The investor class, people who have kept their jobs and have little problem telecommuting, are really doing fine. It's the non-investors who are struggling and that we have opportunity to help. So what does financial wellness look like? It's having control over the day-to-day, month-to-month finances. It's having that capacity and that ability to absorb a financial shock. It's being on track to understand and then meet financial goals. And ultimately, it's having the financial freedom to make the choices that allow you to enjoy life. Now, how can we help with that? Well, Gallup just did a study that identifies 8 actions that financial institutions can take to drive engagement with members or customers. And they all sound pretty credit union to me. Things like helping them reach their financial goals, understand their financial situation, make it easy for them to manage their finances, helping them to make better decisions, and really looking out for their overall financial well-being and demonstrating you have their best interests at heart. When we do this, when we help bring solutions to create better outcomes and meet financial needs, putting the financial well-being ahead of our interests, it actually delivers on our interests inadvertently. When consumers strongly agree with 4 or more of these statements, 77% are engaged. And that engagement translates to higher revenue, plain and simple. 37% higher revenue. And when you do that, it grows trust. When you grow trust, you grow revenue by 9% more. And you can see the Net Promoter Score increases, and ultimately you gain a higher share of wallet, which are the levers that we just talked about: growing volume, growing interaction, growing market share. When we put financial wellness at the core, we have an opportunity to do this. And I cannot come and talk to you today without talking about payments. We have seen payments increase and engagement increase even in a COVID environment. But we also see a tremendous opportunity to create a positive outcome. We're seeing 47% of Americans carrying more credit card debt. We're seeing double-digit growth in enrollment for Zelle. People are moving money. We're seeing that dramatic increase in e-commerce, and of course that touchless environment is creating a big need for contactless. We have such an opportunity to continue our lifestyle engagement and relationship with our members. And payments is a tremendous lever, and we're seeing it rebound. We're seeing credit and debit spending to continue to rebound as businesses open back up. So while debit transaction volume is down, credit volume is coming back up. Transaction dollar amounts are up, and we're seeing more e-commerce across the board. So those of us thinking payments are going away, they are not. It is the primary engagement methodology with financial institutions. This little infographic here is a lovely game of life that our members are experiencing. It shows the big life stages, but we're not really taking advantage of the daily behaviors, the daily engagements of the member. And when you look at it from a payments perspective, $174.2 billion of non-cash payments was transacted annually. This is from 2018, the Federal Reserve study. And the value of these payments totaled $97 trillion in 2018. $97 trillion. That's $97 trillion worth of behaviors that we could help influence. Those are engagement opportunities. These are ways that we can build a relationship with our members outside of those big life events. And it's a way for us to build stickiness. How can we use that to build better member outcomes? And those member moments really count. We're seeing right now that among those investor class that Jean talked about, that savings is up. How do we help encourage those kinds of behaviors? And how do we think about that as a strategy within our credit unions? Many credit unions treat financial wellness as a literacy program or a community engagement program. We don't quite bring it to the center of everything that we do. And this is how I would kind of characterize the three ways that credit unions look at financial wellness and how it would shift member behaviors. There's a group that look at financial wellness and make it central to their solution strategy and growth. There's a group who want to make it central, but they're not quite sure how to execute it outside of financial literacy. And there are those who only see financial wellness as a community engagement strategy. We need to see our movement move to all being number one, those who make financial wellness central to our solution strategy. Because as we've seen, members need it, and we have an opportunity to engage with them, to build that interaction and build growth for both the member and for the credit union. So this shows how this might look across their journey with you. If you look at spend, save, borrow, and plan, these are their particular struggles. 47% of Americans are spending more than or equal to their income. 30% of Americans say they have more debt that they can manage when they borrow. 45% of Americans do not have enough savings to cover 3 months of living expenses, and we can see that's under pressure right now. And planning. 40% of Americans do not plan ahead financially. This is a place where we could really play an important role in building trust. And when you look at all of the things that you offer as a credit union to your members, this encapsulates the member journey. Save, spend, invest, borrow, protect. There are all of these solutions that you provide. There are all these ways that you could be influencing the financial life of your member. And you could aggregate this all to build stronger financial health and better financial outcomes. If we looked at it from the outcome perspective and not just the solution perspective and designed that journey according to member needs, we would really see a better overall outcome for that member. Let me give you an example from a volume perspective of what that looks like. This is a 60-second time period in the financial services world of what end consumers do with us. 34 new mortgage applications, 16 mortgages originated. And then as you go to the other side of the wheel, $95,000 in digital wallet transactions, going all the way up to 210,000 credit and debit card transactions in a single minute. So when you look at our opportunities to really influence member behavior and have that increased engagement, this is an incredible opportunity to build a better relationship with our members and create better financial outcomes for all. Now let me show you an example of what that means from your perspective. So the top 3 banks in the country, this pie chart on the right is an aggregate view of their total consumer loans. 21% of those loans is their credit card portfolio. And when you bring that all together, it makes up $1.4 trillion in total consumer loans. Now when we look at credit unions, 6.5% of the overall loan portfolio for credit unions in aggregate is credit cards, which translates to just under $1 trillion in total consumer loans. This means that we are missing out on revenue. We are missing out on engagement. We're missing out on the opportunity to influence member behaviors. And those members are going to get credit cards. I know that credit and card is kind of a dirty word or a dirty phrase in our industry, but they're going to go get those credit cards. Shouldn't they get them with the good guys that can help them make better financial choices? We should be part of that, and it helps us to build that engagement and that overall financial performance that we should be part of. And with COVID, we don't see that going away. We expect spending levels to come back to where they were before the outbreak and to bounce back. We know it will rebound and that spending will continue. So where should you be investing? You say, great, I want to be involved. What should I be doing? And it's really the trends that we were seeing prior to the pandemic are going to stay with us and accelerate. When we do these things, like helping our members manage and move money better, creating that personalized and transparent experience that's rewarded across use cases and incenting usage with the mobile digital merchants that they're used to, and making that experience really frictionless and invisible and instant. When we do that and put financial wellness at the core of it, we're building usage, stickiness, trust, and ultimately market share. This is that digital touchless remote service focus is accelerating, and this is where we should be putting all of our investment as credit unions. So given what we see in the financial services landscape today, it's clear that the pursuit of the primary financial institution status is strategically out of step with the fundamental realities of the marketplace. And of our existing members, only 20% see us that way. So we have a deep opportunity for us to build that relationship with our members. And if it's possible to meet the holistic needs of consumers today, it will happen through a human-centered financial relationship that responds to the consumer's immediate financial needs and their long-term financial wellness needs. And when we can put payments with that and help build that daily engagement to shift those daily behaviors, we will not only live our mission, but help build on the long game credit union financial model that we need to do right now. So that member engagement can also build growth for the credit unions. And that's something that we need to do to see credit unions succeed as we've done for the last 100 years and to be there for members for 100 more. And I couldn't be more thankful to be part of this wonderful event today and to talk to you about deepening the relationship with your members, leveraging financial wellness and payments. And I can't wait to see what you all do in response and as you're planning for 2021 and beyond. This is a time for credit unions, and I know we can do it. Thank you so much.
Mobile apps, online banking portals, IVR and client service systems. The more seamless the experience, the deeper and more holistic your member relationships become. And while APIs allow you to better integrate these offerings, the Co-op Developer Portal makes it easier than ever to manage the APIs you need, so you can start developing immediately, implement new features quickly, and test to ensure their success. Because flexibility is critical, the Co-op Developer Portal provides comprehensive coding options. And whether you're handling development in-house or with a third party, Co-op's experts are available to consult and support. Discover the growing opportunities the Co-op Developer Portal can bring to your credit union's growing relationships. And take advantage of the open platform that gives your developers extraordinary agility, so you can more quickly deliver the integrated digital experience your members expect.
Crazy world. Shift happens. Yes, it does. I am ready.
Well, we may not have been ready when it happened, but you're right. Shift happened. And we're not going back. So now we have to look to the future and we have to be ready. Thank you for being my virtual friend, I am.
I don't believe in no touch at all. So we're really good at technology, and our technology is meant to be built with people. And I think there's so much good. Everybody's freaking out, and I get it. There's the mental aspects of what's going on, and just talk about COVID. There are things within the first 2 weeks of COVID that I've been trying to get my team to do for years that happened like that. You talked about the underground and some of the decisions you guys need to make. And there's certain things that we shouldn't go backwards on. I have a whole list of things like, this is what we did. And I want to be real clear right now, we're not going backwards, right? This has changed how we do it forever.
One of the things we say at Alchemy is you can tell a lot about a person or by a company by where they spend their money. You know, you can tell what they value, right? And one of the things that you'll see is that people say, man, we're all in on digital. We're all in on digital transformation. And then they'll come and they're spending less on their digital banking platform than they spend on one of their branches a year to keep it staffed and to run it, right? But they're all in on digital. And so you I think that's what you ask yourself is, okay, show me your operating budget and show me how much you're spending on physical delivery channel in terms of infrastructure, all your capital cost, all your headcount cost, and all of that. Show me what you're spending there, and then compare that to what you're spending on your digital service channel, right? And then just see, and that should be your first indicator of whether or not you're committed to digital transformation. To say what you see a lot of in the credit union industry is boards that have 0 people from technology sectors or anyone from a technology background that's actually there. And it's 2 things. One, it can lead to you not really having a big focus on investing in digital and there, or it could lead for you being taken advantage of whenever you're looking at making technology investments as well. But one way or the other, you need to have people on your board that are savvy about this, that understand technology. And I know a couple of our clients, in fact, they talked about this problem a couple of years ago, and they set out to specifically either add board seats or to have a ask a couple to retire and then replace them with CIOs in the community or from their member segs and things like that, because they just said, we looked at our board and we're walking in talking about this big digital initiative we want to have, and they're all looking at us like we're speaking German. You know, they just don't get it, right? So I think that you definitely have to have that at the board level, because it is an investment. To transform, you have to invest. Your digital banking system on average handles 40% of your total membership every single day. Think about that. Every single day, 40% of your membership logs in through mobile or online banking. There's not all your branches together don't even come close to that on a daily basis.
So Constellation is a banking platform, and if you think about a platform, I like to use the analogy of Amazon and Uber, right? Amazon is a platform that brings buyers and products. Uber is, riders and cars. Airbnb, same thing. So the banking platform concept is very similar. It's bringing banking and fintechs together, which is creating an entire really marketplace. So these fintechs, their challenge is they need customers. Their other challenge is if you have a financial technology solution as a fintech and you want to do business with a bank or a credit union, you have to integrate to their core banking system. And that's not fun and it's not easy. And yes, there are maybe 3 or 4 big players, right? But we all use those core banking systems a little bit differently. So they have to build all these different integrations. They build it once for the Constellation banking platform. It's authenticated to the core banking system so that one single sign-on for the member gets them to all of their things. I have to tell you that back when we first started talking about this and learning about it through Chris Kovacs, the CEO of Constellation, it was an idea. And I thought, even if it's just these 11 credit unions that get together, this is a great idea. I'm not sure that the fintechs will come. I wasn't sure about that. They are coming. There are already over 100 that have been signed up. Some of them already have apps that are created. Some are waiting for the credit unions to be on it for banking, before they will commit. But there's a lot of interest. And so that now allows us to provide features and capabilities to our members that we could never, I shouldn't say never, we have to wait for those legacy vendors to do what they do on their roadmap where we don't have a voice, right? So this makes us kind of master of our own domain and able to do what we want to do, which is give our members new cool features that they can use to make their financial lives better instead of waiting for legacy vendors who, frankly, they just want to sell what they have today to more financial institutions.
Yeah, I love what you said about that balance of emotional intelligence. So the people skills never go away in any shape. But now the acumen, the technical skills keep shifting based on the world. And so what it took to be a CEO 10 years ago is not the same as today and won't be 10 years from now. And that's true for a board or anyone. So this constant thought of what is next, I know, for example, with our team, our management team, we have talked extensively about data analytics being a core competency for all levels of management in the organization. It's not a team that manages data analytics or a person, it is the entire organization using that as one of the critical elements for decision making. So you're absolutely right that it keeps shifting. What is the skill set we need keeps shifting, and now COVID, that's reshifted what's needed.
And it makes me wonder, how credit unions and regulators keep up with that. So as more savvy and perhaps younger as more savvy and younger consumers are comfortable with not a financial institution, but conducting all their financial transactions online, I wonder what happens as financial transactions become more electronic, and let's say somewhere out there with a non-traditional provider, money gets lost. Who's responsible for that? I can see the world going to digital options. We all find it convenient, but what happens if people stop using credit unions and banks for savings and they've got their money stored in different, I don't want to name actual businesses, but online providers, and a transaction goes awry, some money goes missing? What does that tell us? What do we have to prepare for to offer the equivalent of deposit insurance so that people don't lose their money in a world that's much more electronic, much more digitized?
being able to do identity verification for net new members, for the fact that you're interacting with a member and stuff. I would not be surprised if it will be something in the near future, if some aren't already, say, hey, in order to do that transaction, I actually need to get on a quick video call with you and just, hear you. Because, it used to be you need to come into the branch to do that. And I think what the alternative is, hey, that's fine, but we do require, a 60-second video call with you to do that, right? Just to kind of verify who you are. So I think that what you're going to see is some of this technology, whether it be video or other ways. So Alchemy's actually worked on some things around this that you're going to want to make sure I can serve everyone, but I got to still verify they are who they say they are in order to help them financially or to move money for them or to open up an account for them and things like that.
Hi, Shauna Richardson here, Underground field reporter, coming to you live from sunny California. I've got two good friends and colleagues with me today, Jay Mossman, CEO out of Kubo, Jeff Castro, CEO of Neener Analytics, and we're going to get into some underground discussions. So, Jay, my first question is for you. The future of credit unions really lies in the integration of technology, social mission, and DI, serving everyone equally. The digital divide is growing from the haves and the have-nots. Shouldn't credit unions be closing this divide? Obviously, there are members that have access and those that don't. CDFI funds are available. We've got a number of different CUSOs that have been instantiated to help solve this problem. Are credit unions going to step in, lean in, or are they going to go away? Will we recruit the newer, younger generation, multi-heritage generation or not? Or do those go to fintech?
But I think the thing that really, in my mind, is going to help drive credit unions down the road is figuring out a way to build upon their brand. And what I mean by brand, I'm talking the credit union brand, not necessarily an individual credit union, but the credit union brand in its entirety. And I really wish the credit union industry would do more to advance that brand. The fact that it is all about the common person. It's about helping the people that typically are not going to get helped or served well through, through big banks, et cetera. Technology is going to be there for everybody, right? It doesn't matter whether you're a credit union or a bank or a fintech, that technology is going to be there.
So Jeff, as you work with different, industry segments, you work with credit unions, you work with community banks, you work with retailers, you work with associations, et cetera. Where do you see that there's a very strong positive growth model that still maintains a philosophical mission differently than a mega bank is going to? Or is there one yet to be built?
I don't see it. I don't see it. I honestly don't see it. And it is frustrating because what we do, I'm not going to want to turn this into a pitch for Neener Analytics, but what we do feels very closely aligned with what a credit union is supposed to be about, the I know you. I mean, literally the I know you to that consumer, to that member. And there is this, I think that philosophically there's this idea that something that's operating as a nonprofit doesn't have to abide by the same economic principles as a for-profit. And maybe that was true in 1965, right? When you had boomers flowing to credit unions, but the exact opposite is occurred. And not-for-profit has to abide by the same principles as for-profits. And they have to be able to recognize the truth and say it out loud and know that it hurts. The example I like to use is, and I say this to every credit union that we present to, every credit union that we present, I say, look, we're headquartered in Sunnyvale, California, literally in the heart of Silicon Valley. One building, at any given time, there's 400 startups in that one building. The second floor is the fintech. At any given time, there's 200 fintechs on that one floor. Only 2/3 of them are tasked with disrupting lenders and credit unions, in banks and disrupting. And disruption is a code for destroy. Let's be honest. Disruption is a code word for destroy. So we've got literally 175 startups at any given time that are tasked, that have billions of dollars cumulatively, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with a passion to destroy you.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending your time today.
Wow, that was passionate, and a reality check that we have to be the credit union. We have to take what's happened, and we are not going back. Thank you, Brett, Stephen, Lucy, Sharon, Shruti. The latest market research estimates there will be 8 billion digital devices and voice assistants in use by 2023. Siri, Alexa, and maybe even I Am. Ideas into action. Align your budget. 40% of your members log in digitally every day. Integrate fintech into your platforms and making sure that we have that access. Technology budgets align with digital transformation mindset. And authenticate members for safety and security. And know that technology must be personal. I know you. I appreciate Shauna, Jay, and Jeff for their field reports. Technology is the next I Am. I know you. Okay, there are challenges and there are opportunities ahead. And we want to talk about cannabis. Cannabis may be socially controversial, but it is also a key medical treatment and becoming more and more accepted. Yes, many cannabis-related businesses remain underserved, leaving their employees vulnerable and cash on the street. Let's listen to the experts.
My name is Mish Kim, and my family is originally from Korea. 한국에서는 가족이 제일 중요합니다. And in my culture, family is really important, and my credit union treats me and my community like family. My name is Mish Kim, and I am a credit union.
I am back. Time to mellow out and get real.
And cannabis is real in many, many states. So now's the time for us to serve the underserved. It's about safety, and it's about an opportunity to help.
Hi, I'm Katrina Skinner. I'm a field reporter for the Underground Collision. I'm coming from Denver, Colorado, and I have the pleasure today of speaking with two of my friends and colleagues in this industry. Deirdre O'Gorman is coming from DX Consultants, and Mike Kennedy from Green Check Verified. I've had the pleasure of working both with both of them in a professional setting and for mutual clients. So I feel very confident that these two will be able to share some information and insights into the cannabis banking world, which still remains underground for many in the credit union industry. So we wanted to kind of shed some light on that. And so I've got some questions we're going to talk with them about, get some of their opinions and their perspectives on what's going on and maybe where they think things are going. So Deirdre, I'd like to go ahead and start with you and just figure out or just kind of understand, why do you even believe cannabis banking should be offered?
Absolutely. So we're seeing most financial institutions hang their comfort level or their assessment of risk on the FinCEN guidance. So back in 2013, we had the Department of Justice giving us the Cole Memorandum, which basically provided an outline for attorneys general on what were enforceable actions, right, for states that had legalization on the cannabis side. And so following that, in 2014, we had the FinCEN guidance issued by the Department of Treasury that really was trying to promote transparency in banking for these businesses, because they want the information, they want the data, and they want to make sure that these businesses are complying with BSA and AML rules. And so for the financial institutions that are in the space, although the memorandum was ended, the FinCEN guidance still remains, and that's typically what we default to for when financial institutions are approaching compliance and the enhanced due diligence in this space.
Okay. And Mike, what about you? Why do you think cannabis banking should even be offered by financial institutions?
Well, I think it's I'll go sort of a different altitude than Deirdre. Certainly your expertise speaks for itself, but sort of where we come at it from is that community financial institutions, and particularly credit unions, are chartered to serve the businesses and the members in their community, right? And these cannabis businesses are they're unbanked or underbanked in many markets, and they provide a very attractive source of funding that credit unions have not only sort of a philosophical connection to in terms of these being members in their community and the underserved, what have you, but also a financial opportunity for credit unions to build a profitable line of business that targets these business types. And there is a way to do it in a compliant fashion. You can bank cannabis safely. It doesn't require some of the horror stories that you may have heard. We're thankful to some of the folks who have come before us, and Deirdre, you, Katrina, right? You guys are trailblazers in the space, and being early adopters, you were able to learn a lot of the lessons for our industry the hard way, and that's made it easier for financial institutions now, and of course that trend will continue. So following the guidance from FinCEN and some of the state agencies that are starting to be more vocal about their expectations, looking to obviously enhance your compliance function overall, and particularly standing up the necessary controls for this line of business. Those absolutely have to be done. But the reason why is these are underserved members of your community, and they need access to the financial products and services that other businesses may take for granted. And you can do that. You just have to make sure that you have the right environment in order to be able to offer these services to cannabis businesses.
So Deirdre, like Mike said, you've been in this space for a while. Do you agree with him that maybe after blazing some trails before, that it is easier, it's an easier path now for financial institutions that are considering getting into the space?
I do. I think Mike brings up some really key points. One of which is the NCUA. Out of all the regulators in the United States, the NCUA has been on the forefront of coming out and saying, we support credit unions that as long as they're adhering to the due diligence, as their regulators, be their partner in this endeavor. So that really gives a lot of, I think, peace of mind to the credit unions that are entering this space. I think additionally, like he said, the lessons learned have been very important. So the financial institutions that have come before the credit unions considering state programs is also key, because we've been able to work with regulators and work on some issues, I think, that have been anomalies, or even as the businesses start to become more sophisticated, experience that can lend a hand in the space.
So Mike, you mentioned that if credit unions want to do this and get into this space, that they can build a profitable business. Obviously, to me, that would be one of the pros to getting into this space. What are some of the other pros that you would see if people are weighing options or trying to decide whether to get into the space? What are some of the other benefits?
Yeah, so the broad strokes are pretty clear, right? It's the financial opportunity and then the community security and safety that you're adding by getting this cash off the streets and helping these business members get access to the financial system. But there are layers to that, so it is a little bit more nuanced. So when you think about the impact to the community, it's not just getting cash off the streets. And you can look at these headlines and it's terrible, some of the things that are happening because these businesses, particularly dispensaries, have been targeted for robberies, knowing full well that the marijuana product is attractive, but it's the cash that they expect to be on hand on the premises that is more attractive to these bad actors. So that's terrible. But then also the employees, the owners, the employee spouses, right? All of these sort of splintering effects that are, again, tied directly to the community that your credit union is serving, also have difficulty accessing basic financial products and services based on their interaction with the cannabis industry. So there are layers to the impact you can drive within your community, within your local economy by serving this industry. But of course, the ROI is pretty difficult to calculate there, unfortunately. So when it comes to the hard numbers, the dollars and cents, then you can start to look at, okay, how is this going to impact my cost of funds? How is this going to impact my net income? Because there is non-interest fee revenue that's being generated by these lines of business. Is there a lending opportunity, right? Not just from the liquidity perspective, but also direct lending opportunities to the cannabis businesses themselves through some, bespoke lending products that, of course, come with additional costs, but can also themselves be profitable. And then what is the average return on assets for your credit union today? And if we were to look at non-interest bearing deposits and what that volume could be given your market, does that key performance indicator or another key performance indicator get impacted positively? So it's not just the balance sheet, it is overall the financial posture of the credit union can be legitimately impacted by the decision to bank cannabis, of course, at a specific scale and with obviously the considerations that I'm sure we'll get to around the compliance and operational overhead that's required to sustain a program.
And what about you, Deirdre? What type of pros do you see in addition to those that Mike just kind of outlined for us to getting into this space?
Yeah, I think a lot of credit unions might not realize, but there's a lot of sophisticated business owners that are in this space that own multiple business, not just their cannabis license. So there's some opportunity on the commercial side if credit unions are looking to build their commercial portfolio, whether it just be on the account side, operating accounts, or lending opportunities for commercial lending. Are pretty prolific, and there are some states, multi-state operators, having businesses in all walks of life. So you're really exposing the credit union not only to cannabis, but then also some other market opportunities.
Well, thank you, Katrina, Mike, and Deidre. Many credit unions were formed to serve specific employer groups. And as the cannabis industry grows, there will be thousands of employees who need a credit union. There are credit unions who are evaluating it, and a few that have been serving this community for many, many years. We want to take action, so the Underground announces today a new network we're establishing called CU Cannabis. You can join by going to Mitchell Stankovic & Associates website and take action. Let's get the cash off the street. Let's serve employees and their businesses, and let's have the opportunity to increase income and increase impact. I am a credit union advocate, and I'm taking action. Well, I am so excited. This has been an incredible morning. And I just love the fact that one of our field reporters has joined us here in the studio. I'm excited to introduce the CEO of SARE Technology and Shauna Richardson, one of our founding thought leaders with the Underground, and her partner, Mike Covert. We do a shout out to him as well. But Shauna's here. I believe in credit unions. She believes in credit unions. What do you think, Shauna?
Hey, big shout out to the Underground Collision crew. Thanks for joining us today. Shauna Richardson, field reporter for the Underground Collision, reporting to you live from Las Vegas. And I want to say, I'm going to take a personal moment here to say how impressed I am by credit union heroism. I mean, today has been 2 hours chock full of credit union advocates, CEOs, field line staff, all supporting one another in our efforts. So thank you to all. This industry is full of heroes. My recap notes won't get to everybody, but I do want to give a special shout out to a couple of folks. Brett Martinez at RCU. RCU, the brand is love. They didn't come up with that from a big advertising firm. Their members came up with that. How many financial institutions can say the same? You know, Brett also has been, and team have been through 5 years of fires, floods, and now COVID, and never closed their branches. Congratulations. Lenny, 50% of credit union membership in Asia are low-income females. Awesome work in business development centers. She's pulled in 30,000 female members in 5 years' time. She's doing really good work. Mark, our friend from Down Under, invest in social responsibility metrics to support credit union taxation status. It's paramount to the health of our industry status. Scott, DI initiatives as a creative force to your organization. Diversity is such a strength, invest in it. Sue made a great comment, 290 million credit union members worldwide. That's great, but we need and we can do better in this increasingly fractured environment. Rico followed up by saying 71% of Americans are financially unhealthy. That we can definitely do a better job. Reach out to Rico and his members. Samantha, always a great source of information. Grow trust, grow revenue, and grow wallet share. Jay Mossman, the CU industry, build the collective brand, embrace the CU philosophy. Don't let our business go to fintechs or otherwise. And then followed up by Jeff LaCastro, who's heading up a great technology initiative, and basically said the building he works in, there are 100 fintechs on one floor. So amplify that by all of the fintechs in Silicon Valley just alone, and you guys can do the numbers. And then finally, Katrina, Mike, Deirdre, thank you for giving us some really earnest information on getting involved in cannabis lending. Evaluate, but get activated. Your regulators are engaged in listening. Okay, guys, this has been so much fun. I get so much out of it. I'll see you at the next Underground in 2021. Have a good one.
Thank you, Shauna. On a personal note, I believe in the human spirit. I believe in the credit union mission, people helping people. As we navigate the future, it's very critical that we think about our social purpose of a credit union cooperative in financial inclusion and financial democracy. I am a credit union, and I am going to vote. Zach, please join me here on stage. I'm going to put on my mask, but we want you to see Zach. He's my IM buddy, and we've been working on, with our team, IM materials so that you can reach out there and get access. But thank you to all of you who joined us today. Thank you to our thought leaders. Most of all, thank you to our amazing sponsors, Co-op, Financial Services, Balance, CUNY Mutual, PSCU, Alchemy, SARE Technology, and the Worldwide Foundation. I am, you are, we are the credit union movement. Blessings, and please take care. Bye.
I am a credit union. Thank you. it was cool to go underground with you.
Oh, virtual hugs. I am. It is wonderful to be a credit union. I am a credit union, and all of our underground friends are credit union. Thank you for joining us. I hope you've had a great day.
My name is Joshua Smith and I am a credit union.
My name is Stephanie and I am a credit union. I am Amanda and I am a credit union.
My name is Frank and I am a credit union.
I am Perez. I am a credit union.
My name is Luana, and I am a credit union.
My name is Carl. Me too.
My name is Sherry, and I am a credit union.
Mi nombre es Alejandro y soy credit union.
I just opened a new account at a credit union and I love it so much.
It's me, Wyatt, and I am a credit union.
My name is Kirsten, and I am a credit union.
My credit union treats me and my community like family.
I will never take my money anywhere else.
Bank is a bad word.
I am Gina, and I am a credit union.
Mon nom est Balkis. Je suis de la Crédit Union.
Hola, mi nombre es Angelica, and I am a credit union.
My name is Eric and I am a credit union.
Credit unions care about you as a person. They care about your family, and they work really hard every single day to make sure you have a better financial future.
My name is Kelly Schrader, and I am a credit union.